Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, well, I'm going to be giving you my preview and prediction for the 2017 NBA first round matchup, which pits the Indiana Pacers against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And anyway, it's going to start this weekend, and this is a time now where Cleveland obviously is much more vulnerable now than they have been in previous seasons with LeBron James. However, I still see Cleveland winning this series. I think it's going to be a little more competitive than a lot of people think. Cleveland really comes into the playoffs on a very low note. They've lost their last four, while the resurgent Indiana Pacers come in winning 5 consecutive games. Cleveland finished the regular season not just losing their final 4 games, but they were like 4-6, I believe, in their final 10. And they finished 2 games behind the Boston Celtics as far as being the possible number 1 seed goes. Cleveland fell to number 2. What's interesting about that is the fact that Chicago finished number 8 as far as the Eastern Conference seeds go. And Chicago dominated Cleveland during the regular season, sweeping Cleveland. Now, it makes you wonder, could there possibly have been an avoidance of maybe facing the Chicago Bulls? I think it's possible. But I think what Cleveland was basically conveying to the NBA and the league is that we're going to do it. We feel like we're not worried about the regular season. We know that we can come out of the East regardless of our position. As long as we're in the postseason, we have enough confidence in ourselves that we will come out of that conference. Now, as far as Indiana goes, well, Paul George, he seems to have some swagger. He seems to feel that Indiana will, at the very least, make it a competitive series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if Cleveland does take that Cavalier attitude against the Pacers, well, Pacers could pull a first-round upset. The chance to do it now is obviously greater than it has been in other recent seasons, but I think with LeBron's experience in Cleveland with the Cavaliers, the fact that LeBron also is 11-0 all-time in first-round playoff series. In other words, he's won 11 out of 11 first-round series that he has been in. I think he's like 44-7 in those first-round games. That's everything but flawless and infallible. The Cleveland Cavaliers, now they go into the playoffs struggling, but a lot of their losses toward the end of the season was attributed to resting LeBron James, Kevin Love, and, of course, Kyrie Irving. And I think when I look at this series, okay, Cleveland did take 3 out of 4 from Indiana. However, Indiana has come in playing very well, as I stated before, winning their final 5 consecutive games. They look very good last night in that win over Atlanta, and I think right now, Indiana could make this series competitive. They actually, if I'm not mistaken, they finished one of the better three-point shooting teams as far as percentage goes in the league. I think Cleveland set a franchise record for three-pointers made, so you might see a good barrage of three-point shooting in this series. And considering Cleveland had given up around 107 points per game during the regular season, I think a lot of these games are going to have both teams over 100 points. I think that's fairly safe to say. In Cleveland, in many of their games this season, a strong percentage gave up 100 or more points, and their defensive efficiency was not exactly stellar this season either. So Cleveland is a little bit more vulnerable now this season than they had been previously. I think teams have some confidence that they might be able to upset Cleveland more so than in the past, but that doesn't mean that's going to be accomplished, of course. I think right now, I look at it, Paul George on Indiana is a little bit of an underrated, unheralded player. He's very good. He's one of the stars in this league. I think this matchup will be a lot more compelling now than if somebody had said at the beginning of the season they were going to play each other. I think in contrast to that, it's more compelling now than what a lot of people would have anticipated had they known that Cleveland would play Indiana in the postseason. But I think what's going to happen is I think Cleveland's going to be able to turn that switch on, and it may not be pretty, but they will get the job done, I believe, against the Indiana Pacers. I see this series going 6 games, and I think Indiana's actually going to win a couple of these games. I think what it is Cleveland is not necessarily going to go all. I mean, they're going to play hard in this series, but they don't necessarily have to be at full throttle to win this series. So I kind of see it going 6 games, but I do like Cleveland to emerge victorious and defeat the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. So anyway, people, that's my prediction for the first round 2017 series that pits the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.